what I've done here is I'm going to just give you an outline of the lesson I'm going to do with you, and I've just broken it down in order to just get at the core elements. So when I planned what I'm going to do today with you, I was thinking, what would be my cognitive activity I'm going to do? That's in my head first, and then I did what's called backward planning. What I'm going to do to get you to that process. Because I'm also a university instructor, I'm trying to get at things about how you're going to plan across all sports and activities. I'm using dance, which is more of a repeated pattern skill rather than an open skill, but as you start bringing more complexity of dancing with others, there's an openness to that skill, even though it's more of a closed skill initially. Now, dance can be done in a very formal way or a very expressive way. When it's formal, I struggle. Step here, and I just don't like dancing. When it's expressive, and you give me an idea, and I've got a pattern, I just take off, right? And so what you have to think about is where you bring in students into dance. I got turned off dance by the formal. The expressive, I love it. But as I get good at expressive, I start hearing the music, I start adapting to other people's bodies, the formal can start to emerge. So I've learned to teach dance, going from the expressive, creative side, and then moving it towards the formal as needed. And people love to dance. So you've got to try and make it as open as possible. So when you link that back into our teaching styles, we tend to see that the notion of how to do dance is probably more of a divergent style, but you use production, reproduction as needed to get the quality of the dance around that openness to what the dance can look like. Because everything goes doesn't work. But what is the structure that will allow the student to feel comfortable about the dance? So what I'm doing is I'm planning that in my head as well as I'm putting this together for you. So to start off with, the basic task model looks like this. So basic is when I get my idea of my cognitive activity, I then create a series of tasks that will allow me to get that application for the big event that I've planned for that lesson or sequence of 2 or 3 lessons. When I set a task, I try to find out what you can do. So I send a task to get the students doing things, and then I refine their movements based on what I know the application is going to be by using, in the case of dance, some type of body parts or roll of the body or space or extension through space or how you do it. I refine that movement. If you're struggling, I simplify it. Right? I make it easier. So I might extend it by adding on beats, but if you're struggling to stay to the beats, I might therefore simplify it by taking away the beats until you feel comfortable. So play around, working you through a sort of cyclic process, always doing little applications that build towards the final culminating event. So that's the plan that model is getting at, and I'm going through when I do my planning process. What it looks like down here is my BC folk dance. So I've got a set of basically 6 tasks I've set up, and each one I have refinement movements to the idea that I've brought to your attention. Then I have extensions and simplifications that I do to that as I cycle my way through right to the culminating event where I'm going to get you dancing in groups of 4, creating your representation of your BC folk dance. So that's sort of my going through, and what I've now read through that is how I'm going to do that using teaching styles. So I'm not going to just do one teaching style, I'm not going to just do command, I'm going back and forth. And you can see by the end it really becomes more of that production style as I give you a vocabulary to the movement. Is that good? So you see how the planning process I went through? This is a beginning, could be converted into a lesson plan, but we'll do lesson planning after. This is sort of my planning structure. Once I've made this could work for many, many classes. Depending on the size of the class, it all changes. To help me do it, I've drawn the music, right? So I know the phases, I know I've got 11 sets of 8, I know I've got a beginning, and I know I've got an end, right? And so I know I'm going to use that music to build the dance. So these are my resources to create. Does that make sense? Now, because I'm doing assessment as well, what I've done here, because I want to model 2 things at once, because I would have done it on Monday, but I haven't got Monday, so I'm going to do 2 things at once. I made a QR code. This is for you to do a self-assessment. So what I want you to do is between, when I leave in a second, you're going to QR code it, you're going to choose your name, you're going to start filling in the survey. After the lesson, you're going to finish in the survey. This is what I would give class of kids if I had like 2 or 3 lessons, and by the 3rd lesson they were doing a self-assessment. I'm doing a speed up here. This is what they would do in order to get a sense of changing their attitude toward dance and loving dance. Right? So I want you to QR code that, select your name, do your first attitude towards dance, and then after I finish the lesson, we'll come back, you're finishing the survey, we'll do it in the gym, and you'll change your attitude hopefully towards dance. That's my goal.